All right, everyone, we are now inside the Clubhouse speaking with the director of the play, as well as an old high school teacher of mine, Brion Hoke. So, Brion, how are you doing today?
Great, man. I appreciate you guys coming today.
Yeah, and I appreciate you letting us come here to interview you. So, the first question I wanted to ask you was, what is a little something you can tell us about this play, Every Brilliant Thing?
So, Every Brilliant Thing was written by Duncan McMillan and with Johnny Donahoe, who is the actor. Who was the actor in the original production and on the HBO production. And it's a one-man interactive show. So we're going to have an audience of about 80 to 90 people. And as soon as our audience arrives, they're going to be greeted by Devion Ross, who is our one actor in the show. And he's going to be distributing lines with artwork on each line. And actually, our art teacher, Marin Lane at school, created these on the back of old vinyl record covers and inserts, because vinyl records are also a theme of the show. The love of music, the love of vinyl records, the emotion that music can play in life. But this show is the overarching aspect of this show is this one character in the show his mom was battling depression from a very early age in his life. So to combat that, he started to create a list of all the brilliant reasons to live. So when you think about being young, some of the great things are ice cream, when you go out for ice cream, or riding on a roller coaster. And when you get a little bit older, falling in love and having that first experience of a relationship. And all these things are examined throughout the 55 minutes that the one actor shares with the audience. And the most beautiful thing about this play is that at the end, it's almost as much therapy as it is fun.
Yeah, I mean, this definitely seems pretty, I would say, thematic to the times. I think most of the people at home probably know someone or know of someone who, because of this pandemic, may have been struggling with mental health. And that was kind of making me wonder, I mean, what was the sort of main thing, or what were the collection of things that sort of inspired you to choose the play Every Brilliant Thing?
Well, throughout my life, suicide has been something that I've encountered. When I met my best friend, who's still my best friend, it was just a week after his mom had committed suicide. And I think that's one of the things that still binds us. He needed somebody at that time. I needed somebody, and we both filled that void. Then later on, a man that I worked for committed suicide. And that was when I was an adult. And so I just interpreted that a lot differently. He had kids and a family, and it was a hard thing to wrap my head around. I wasn't producing plays then. And then just a couple of years ago, a relative, my nephew's wife's brother, who was just 25 years old, went to Indiana University, was from a very loving family, a family that I would describe as a beautiful, unified group. I only met Chad a few times. He's just 25 years old, and when Chad committed suicide, it really had an impact on me. And then I saw Every Brilliant Thing on HBO, and then I saw it live in Novi at the Tipping Point Theater. And the experience of seeing it live was much more impactful than seeing it on video. And so it's something I've always wanted to do, and this just seemed like the right time to share this. So if I can have a positive impact on even one person, and all of it will be worth it to me.
Yeah. Yeah, I know that when it comes to people struggling with mental health, it's something that, it's like you were saying with some of the examples you gave, it's oftentimes not just the one person, oftentimes it'll affect like a whole community. And thinking about community, I imagine that putting something like this together it's a lot of hard work. So can you tell me about, how this sort of community around you and what that community is made up of, how these people came together to sort of help you put this together?
Yeah, I think that's been the most inspiring thing about it, to be honest. Butch is here today, giving me his time to set up the lighting. The people at Slick Disc were great. They gave records, and they gave gift certificates to raffle off. And I have an artist that named Paul King that I met, and he gave me a great discount on some really awesome art that's thematic in the show. It's famous musical artists. So when you come in, you'll see Prince on the wall, and you'll see Aretha Franklin, and they're caricatures, but they're just so beautiful. And those will be raffled off, and all the money will go towards suicide awareness. My wife has been very supportive, and all the people that I know that are willing to come and buy tickets and be here with me. It's going to be a really special weekend, just because I'm going to be able to see all my friends and be around all the people I know too. And I kind of forgot about that when I started the production. I'm like, I'm going to do this. We're going to make money for suicide awareness. But then, a side benefit is, wow, in one weekend I get to see all these people like you I haven't seen in so long, and connect with people again. And I think that's really important these days, because we've all, I think, missed each other more than we know, through this. So,
you actually briefly mentioned the charity for suicide awareness. Would you like to tell people a little bit about the charity you guys are raising money for?
Yeah, so it's the American Foundation for Suicide Prevention. And they have chapters when you go to their website. And I thought about Michigan first, because obviously that's where we live. But then I thought maybe it makes more sense to choose Indiana, because that's where Davion goes to school at Ball State. And that's where Chad lived his whole life. And he went to Indiana University. And to be honest, I called the Michigan chapter. I didn't get the response quickly, and I went right to Indiana, and they were very responsive. And it's somebody that Chad's parents had worked with, and so I connected with them, and that's where the money's going, is to the American Foundation for Suicide Prevention. So, for instance, if we can put one more person behind a phone, or train somebody to answer the phone correctly when somebody desperate calls, that's all I want to do, man.
Yeah. I did a little bit of research, because I had never known about this play until you'd sent me that message over text. So I did a little research on it, and I found out it's sort of an interactive play. Could you actually talk a little bit about what the experience will be like for the audience when they get here?
Sure. So a good example is when I saw it at the Tipping Point Theater. During, I would say maybe halfway into the show, the actors has a relationship with his eventual wife. So he has to pick somebody out of the audience to play his wife. So if let's say they chose you to play the wife, they would ask me, the husband or whoever the date is sitting next to, go sit somewhere else. So, and then the actor goes, is anybody sitting here? And then, of course, the seat's vacated. And that starts the relationship between eventual man and wife. So there's also a time when somebody plays his father, and they have to deliver a toast at his wedding. And they have to kind of think improvisationally about what they would say. But almost all the lines are scripted, and they'll be passed out. They're short. There's nothing intimidating for an audience member when they come in. So you get one line. For instance, the actor will say, "Number one," and the audience member will shout out, "Ice cream," as an example. And this is the list of every brilliant thing. And he eventually makes a list of 1,000,000 things, but he only shares a handful of those things. And one really neat thing about the show, as you're directing and producing it, it's a very unified experience with the actor, because we select things together. For instance, in 2015, I traveled with students internationally, and I took Devion, our actor, to Spain and Portugal. So one of the additions to the list was Portugal that he added. And so we cut out like a cutout of the shape of Portugal. And that's one of the lines that that one of the audience members will read out. So it's just very interactive. And when I saw it, it went by like that. It's like 55 minutes, but it goes so fast because you're so imbued in the overarching story, and then you're also part of it too. You're active, rather than passive.
Yeah, well, as you know, I've already bought my ticket for next Saturday.
I appreciate it.
Yeah, I'm very excited to see it. Even more excited now that you've sold it to me.
Thank you.
So I've already bought my ticket, and I'm really hoping other people will come out as well. So if you are interested in seeing the show, please call the phone number on the screen or contact Brion Hoke at his email. So this has been What's Up Downriver. I'm Alex Moldovan with Brion Hoke, and we hope to see you guys at the show.